The UPA is marking its 4th anniversary in power. Some would say it's actually 9 years in power, and before the UPA could even officially release its report card, the BJP has gone for the jugular, especially launching a scathing attack on the Prime Minister, saying that the Prime Minister's post in the past has never been diminished in the subject of as much sarcasm as it is today. So as the UPA releases its report card, how will public opinion, how will people judge the UPA's 4 years in power? And does India need an early election? Will the UPA's 4 years make it to 5 years? Well, joining us now is External Affairs Minister Salman Khurshid. Also joining us with him is senior leader and spokesperson of the BJP, Prakash Javadekar. Mr. Khurshid, to you first. How would you describe the mood in your party if you were not to be politically correct at this moment?
How would I describe the mood? Simply as a mood in which we have a sense that this is the last mile. We've been through very difficult and tough times for the world and for us in India, and indeed for our party. But we also have a satisfaction that we've come a long way from where we started. We are determined to get to the finishing line, and I do believe that we will come to the finishing line with a fair amount of glory for the country and for ourselves. And that's it. Determination is the word.
Determination, you may need large doses of, Salman Khurshid, because there is a wide perception, if you go by media narratives, if you go by recent opinion polls, if you go by what Congress leaders say privately, that there's a sense of drift. There's a sense of being rudderless in the Congress today. There's a sense of despondency. There's a sense of actually facing a leadership crisis that has seen a divide between the party and the government. Would you at least concede in this moment of candor, and I would expect it from you, that the government has faced a huge image problem and a crisis of credibility?
Well, we've had a communication problem. We've had a communication issue, but that's because the communication space in the country is now overpopulated. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of cross currents, and I think there is something to learn from the situation in terms of communications. We have the time. I think we've got some things already in the pipeline. Our communications could be a lot better, and they will be a lot better. I think we have a good message to deliver. We have good content to deliver. But in the modern times, in the times of the electronic media age, communications play a very important role because perceptions are built on communications. So I think this is going to be high on our agenda for this coming year.
Before I take that to Prakash Javadekar, I'm glad to hear you admitting that there is a communication problem, because one of the things that's often said is that the Prime Minister of this country doesn't talk directly to the people, that the Congress President doesn't talk directly, that neither of them really believe in talking to the media. You're sitting here, you're the External Affairs Minister, you're a senior leader, you're willing to participate in a debate with Prakash Javadekar. Why do we not see the top three faces of the UPA, namely Manmohan Singh, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, ever engage in the public space with the media or talking directly with the people?
Well, you should try a little bit harder, and I'm sure you'll get the response you want. But there is I think, a national cultural issue. I don't think the BJP top leader spends that much time on the media. I don't think across the board many parties, top leaders give that much time to the media. But I think the media also has some responsibility. You've got to get encourage people to come more often to you. And then there are certain things in the natural sort of way which are left for the second line to deal with and to handle. We are there available to you. But if you think you want a louder, bigger, greater message, I think you must try harder to get it.
Okay, I think we try very hard and we've had no luck yet, but we'll keep at it. Prakash Javadekar, what would you describe as the government's biggest failure? We've seen what the BJP has said today. You've gone for the jugular. You've said there's a leadership crisis. Sushma Swaraj says there's a Prime Minister, but he's not a leader. But be specific. Beyond the rhetoric, specifically, what, according to you, is this government's biggest failure?
The first betrayal of this UPA government in 9 years is the inflation, which has inflicted severe injury on the common man, in whose name they got the mandate again in 2009. Now they don't call them Aam Aadmi, they call them Mango people. That's apart. The issue of inflation is the decrease of real wages of all the working classes, and it has affected, and the economist prime minister has failed in managing the economy to tame the inflation.
Okay, so one is the economy.
corruption is
Yeah.
monumental, and
Yeah.
its cover-up is massive.
Okay.
And third is, if whatever little growth we are having, it's a jobless growth. The job creation, which was in India time of 1 crore and 20 lakh per year, has come down, shrink to 20 lakh per year. So this is absolutely three big shocks to the people, and they are three worst failure of the government.
Let me take that back to Mr. Khurshid. Salman Khurshid, the fact of the matter is that we've heard the argument from the UPA that the state of the economy in India is directly correlated to the state of the global economy. But the fact of the matter is that there has been an inertia within the government as well in moving forward on economic reforms. Yes, you finally did move on FDI and retail, but everything with the UPA seems to come in a delayed manner, that till there's a crisis, you actually won't take a decision. Prakash Javadekar refers to the economy. I could apply that same principle to what we saw happening in the exit of two union ministers, the law minister and the rail minister, Ashwini Kumar and Pawan Bansal. Why is there a perception that the UPA does not take a decision to mend something unless it's completely broken, whether it's economy or corruption?
Well, firstly, I think that some of the things that my friend is saying are unacceptable. I don't think he knows what the inflation rate today is, but I don't want to get into that. I don't want to embarrass him. Also, these are phrases that we've heard again and again. I mean, I could say that the talk about corruption excludes Karnataka, I assume, because they don't like talking about corruption in Karnataka. We believe there are endemic problems in the growing economy, and we need to address them. Who's saying we don't need to address them? But how much of what we wanted to do is being stalled in Parliament by the very opposition that itself in its manifesto had said it's willing to do this on insurance, on banking, on FDI. Look at how they turn turtle. Look at how they take U-turns. But of course, this is no time to be blaming anyone. We have a responsibility. We will fulfill it. Whatever we can do without legislation, we will continue doing without legislation. And wherever it's possible to get consensus on legislation, we will get that passed as well. And otherwise, there is always UPA 3.
You're confident of UPA 3, Salman Khurshid? I can see Prakash Javadekkar's hand going up, but I've got to ask you that. At the moment, we're saying is UPA's fourth year actually even going to be its fifth? Are you going to be even in power for another full year? And you're talking about UPA 3. So let me ask you, before I ask the BJP about who's going to be its leader, who's going to be yours? Is it going to be Manmohan Singh again? Is it going to be Rahul Gandhi? Are you going to declare a prime ministerial candidate?
I'll tell you what we'll do. We have three leaders today. We have our Prime Minister, we have our Congress President, and we have her deputy, that is the Vice President of the Congress Party. We have complete faith in our leadership. Our leadership periodically, after consulting with the rank and file of the party, announces what we're going to do. And they will. The three of them will announce when it's necessary to make an announcement as to what is the next step that we will take. For the present, our job's cut out and we have to deliver, and that's what we are intending to do.
So, Mr. Khurshid, when the BJP says the same, that they will take a decision on their leadership issue at an appropriate time, why does the Congress snigger then? Because you're saying exactly the same.
I'll tell you why. No, it's different. They are embarrassed about the leader that they want to put projects. They are worried about that leader. That's why they don't want to declare a leader. Let them not declare a leader. But why is it that we know, and we know it for a fact, that they have a problem about declaring that leader as their stated leader? Why that? Why play a clandestine surprise on the government, on the people of our country in order to get into government? Let's not be so desperate. Find your best, put him out, let him come in the public domain, and then decide whether people want you or not.
Prakash Javadekar, today we heard Sushma. Let me just get Mr. Javadekar in on that. Prakash Javadekar, you said that the leadership issue will be settled at an appropriate time. But we heard Sushma Swaraj today saying that it will be in discussion with allies. Salman Khurshid making the point that essentially you're not coming out and declaring Narendra Modi as the leader.
No, where is the issue? It's a strategy issue. It's not, see, government has completed 9 years. They are accountable. They are celebrating, which they should not have. Actually, they should have apologized the country for 9 times today for their massive corruption, for the inflation, for the betrayal of the farmers, for betrayal of the labor class, and for not bringing progressive legislation in the first year, but keeping it at the end of the things, where we have already delivered much better law in Chhattisgarh. So the issue here is that the Congress is accountable to tell what they have done. Their report card is zero. They have failed on all fronts, even with in the foreign ministry, foreign relations issues also. So it's their comprehensive failure which nation is debating. When the elections are announced, definitely people will ask parties who is their leader.
Okay, Mr. Javadekar.
And at the same time,
Yes.
there is also a democratic process. This is not a president election. So parties have to decide whether they will like to declare it before or afterwards.
Okay,
so as we said, we'll take decision at an appropriate time. But we have 6 leaders who can gather lakhs of people, and at the same time, there are so many popular, our chief ministers also, and so we have no dearth of leadership, or we don't need to see only in leadership only in one family. That's our plus point.
Let me ask you a brief last question, Prakash Javadekar. Why has it been that with such a severe perception problem around this government, the opposition has not been able to force an early election? Is it because actually nobody wants an early election? That nobody actually wants an early election?
No. This government would have collapsed in 2010 or even in 2008. But they are using not only money power, but they are using CBI. And now everything is open, how they are using, abusing and misusing the CBI to keep their UPA fragile alliance afloat when 6 parties are facing various CBI cases, and how the CBI makes U-turn through the chambers, through the office of law minister. That's all in the open. So that's the trade secret of the UPA government.
All right.
Their principal ally is CBI, therefore.
And it will be interesting to see which allies actually stand with the UPA and for how long. We'll leave it there. Salman Khurshid and Prakash Javadekar, the BJP going for the jugular even before the UPA could release its report card marking 4 years in power. Will it make it to 5?